This is the first video in a series which explains and explores the new Quakers Australia website. There are two other videos. The second will talk about the organisation section of the website, and the third will talk about the resources section of the website. This one gives a general overview, so please go through the video and explore the website as you go. When you go to the new website, you will see a menu across the top, which I will talk about in shortly. There's then a photograph of friends at yearly meeting, and as you scroll down the page there's an item of news on the left hand side, which at the moment is about the 2018 Backhouse lecture video. On the right hand side is a Quaker query, which the yearly meeting secretary changes from time to time. Further down the page are further news items which are featured there, and then on the right there is a save the date, which at the moment is a link to the information about yearly meeting in 2019. Further down to the bottom of the page is some legal information, and then a contact us, which enables you to send an email to the yearly meeting secretary, and the terms and conditions of the website. On the right there is a link to our public Facebook page, which you can click on and go and have a look at that. Returning to the top of the page, you will see in the menu across the top that if you put your mouse on one of the menu items but don't click, it will open up the menu and list the items under that menu. The first menu, About Us, the first option there is the basics of Quakerism, which is information for people who know little about Quakers, and particularly Quakers in Australia. There's a link to some of the history of Quakers and to a summary of our beliefs. There's also a link to a list of the meetings for worship, which I will talk about in the second video. A link to some administration information, which includes details of the yearly meeting secretary and the yearly meeting office and so forth. A link to accommodation, which is available around Australia for at Quaker meeting houses and with individual friends. And finally a link to give us donations. The next menu item is News and Events. The news item, you will find that there is a list of the items which have been put there by regional meetings and committees and the yearly meeting secretary. The calendar lists the events which have been listed by those various groups as well. There's a link to the next yearly meeting, which gives information about that next yearly meeting and how you can register. There's a link to the public statements which have been made by friends in Australia recently, and also a link to the AYM Secretary's newsletters. The organisation menu I will deal with in more detail in the second video, but you will see that there you can find a list of meetings for worship, regional meetings, national committees, related Quaker organisations, related international organisations, and a way to find the details of another friend. The concerns menu has information about our various concerns on peace, First Nations, refugees, earth care and the arts. The publications menu leads to the details of most of the Backhouse lectures in the past, so copies of those, the handbook of practice and procedure, the list of Australian publications, which includes the leaflets and pamphlets which the regional meetings and local meetings and worshipping groups can use for outreach purposes. There's a link to ways of finding about international publications, and then there are some links to online videos which you may find useful. The resources menu I will deal with in more detail in the third of these videos, but it also has a link to the basics of Quakerism, to Quaker Learning Australia information, to the Quaker biographies, to our policies, to administration resources, which is information for regional, local worship, regional and local meetings and worshipping groups, information about our various study centres and about exhibitions. Finally, the Young People menu has a page each for the children, for the Junior Young Friends, the Young Friends, and also a link to our child protection policy. Please explore the website and the various menus, and if you would like more information about the organisation menu or the resources menu, please look at the second and third videos.